So my first equation, 10x plus y equals -9. The second equation, write it lined up right underneath it, equals 3. The first step is we are going to combine like terms going downward. So it's vertically. So what I mean by that is that I am going to put all the x's together in both equations and put the answer right there. And what we're hoping for is what you can kind of see what's going on with the y's, is we're hoping that one of the variables will cancel itself out. And then I'll do the same thing with the numbers. All right, so looking only at the x's, I want you to put those together. 10x minus 4x is 6x, and I'll put the answer right there. Plus y and a minus y. Well, those guys are going to cancel. You can just slash it. You can write a 0 here if you want. It's not necessary because it's not really, it's a 0. It's not going to be anything. -9 with a 3 is a -6. So that is step 1. Step 2 is we're going to solve the little equation that we're about to write. Because what we just did is we took two equations that have two variables, mashed them together, and got rid of one of the variables. And so what we have left is 6x equals -6. We're going to divide both sides by 6. We get x equals -1. And we have the x. Now we have to find the y. So the last thing you have to do, step 3, is find y using one of the given equations that I'm abbreviating, EQNS. Find y using one of the given equations. The one equation that you use is your choice. I'm going to pick one, and if anyone wants to use the other one, you can. And if you don't make any arithmetic mistakes, we're both going to get the same answer, because there is a y that works in both of these. Here's how I pick them. I tend to make sign mistakes. So I'm going to use this first equation, the 10x plus y equals -9, because it has fewer negatives in it. This guy, minus 4x minus y equals 3, too many negatives for me. I don't like it. I want to use this one. So to find the y, all I'm going to do is take this equation and copy it right here. I'm going to draw a lot of arrows today so you won't be confused about where I'm getting stuff. 10x plus y equals -9. Now the thing is I already know what the x is, so I'm going to be putting the x right there in a second. The x is -1. If there's any question about where that came from, I'm just not making it up. We just solved for it. I'm just substituting it in right there. Then from here, we just simplify this thing and solve for y. 10 times -1 is -10, plus y equals -9. I add 10 to both sides. It's up to you whether you show me this work. You can do this as mental math as well. This is going to cancel. This is canceling. We're doing that with the variables. I mean, we're canceling stuff today to make life easier. -9 and a plus 10 is a +1. Let's do example 2. -2x plus y equals -23. 2x plus 2y equals 2. I'm going to go faster. I'm not going to write the steps down. You already wrote those down on the last page, so you can go back and look at that, or on the last example. I'm going to just start with my boxes, because I know I want to keep the x's together. I don't want to combine x's and y's. They all have to stay separate. So I'll put my x's together. I'm going to put my y's together. And you have to keep x's and y's away from numbers. These things are all separate things. They do not They do not go together. You cannot combine them all. So when you combine the x's, do you guys see the x's are going to cancel? Boom. Y plus 2y is 3y. And negative 23 plus 2 is negative 21. Now, if you don't like the boxes, you can also do it like this. You just look at the x's. You can cover everything up with your hands if you want, or you can just look at the x's. You can just look at the y's. Just look at the numbers. Now we have 3y equals minus 21. How much work you show here is up to you. You can actually just write the answer. I'll put the divide by 3 underneath. Y equals negative 7. Now, we have to find the x. You go back to one of the original equations. Whichever one floats your boat, whichever one makes you happy. It doesn't matter. You can use either one. I think I'll go with the second one. I've been doing the second one in all my other classes. I'm going to go with the first one today. I'm going to use the first one. You can use the second one if you want to. I'm going to use the first one. Minus 2x plus y equals negative 23. And this y is going to get changed to that negative 7 here. And if you're wondering where I got this from, I just pulled it off. It was the first equation that I was given. So I know I got to solve for x. I know that I am adding a y. I'll put that in here in a second. Okay, my y is negative 7, which came from right there. Plus negative is weird. Plus, I have a minus 2x minus 7 equals negative 23. I'm going to add that 7 to both sides. Negative 2x, that's canceling, equals negative 23 plus 7. What is that, 16? Negative 16, thank you. I think I'm going to do the other one too, just to check it. Minus 2, x equals 8. All right, if you're like, you don't have to do both. This is me in a parallel universe. I don't like that equation. I'm going to go 2x plus 2y equals 2. I'm using the second equation now. I just want to show you that it doesn't matter which one you use. Maybe this one would have been a better choice for me because I don't like all those negatives. X plus 2 times negative 7 equals 2. So 2x minus 14 equals 2. This feels nicer. Add 14 to both sides. You guys, I'm saying, remember, you do one or the other. I'm just doing both to give you an example of why maybe you think about what you want to do, which one you want to use. X equals 8. So two different people choosing differently would still come up with the same answer for x. So now you write your final answer. The x is 8, which we did twice. The y is negative 7. And that is the final answer. Let me throw a try it up here and see if you can do one on your own. Negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 30. Whether you draw the boxes is up to you. Go ahead and work it through. Be careful with this. The only mistake I've been seeing people make is like putting these numbers together right here. You can use a calculator for that if you need to. The algebra is looking pretty good, but the sign mistakes are still there. Negative 4x and a negative 2x. That's a negative 6x. You have two negatives you're putting together. If one of those was positive, you would find the difference between the two. But if you're putting a negative with a negative, it's a bigger negative. These are the two that cancel. They just straight up cancel. You are done with the y's. And here, a negative 30 and a minus 24. Again, if you're not solid with your negatives, you can use the calculator, but you have to use this button down here for negative numbers. I can start with a minus 30 and I'm going to subtract 24. I can just put it in the calculator like that, and it'll give it to me minus 54. And that's the only mistake I'm seeing people make. The big mistake is that. They're giving me a 6. They're finding the difference between those two. I'm leaving that in my calculator because I'll use it here in a sec. Minus 6x equals minus 54. We're going to divide both sides by negative 6 because that means multiplication. X equals, and then if this is still in the calculator, you can just hit divide by negative 6, and the answer is 9. Feels like you're done, but you're not quite done. You just found the x part. You got to find the y part now. Now you have to take the 9, and you got to use one of the equations you were given to try to find the y. So to find the y you pick, you can use either one. I'm going to try to choose better this time. This first equation has all negatives. The second equation has at least one positive, so that's the one I'm going to grab. Minus 2x plus 2y equals negative 24. I know that the x is 9, so negative 2 times the 9 plus 2y equals negative 24. And before anybody asks, where did that 9 come from? Negative 18 plus 2y equals negative 24. We're going to add the 18 to both sides. 2y equals negative 6. Divide by 2. Y equals negative 3. Write your answer as an ordered pair. It's 9, negative 3. If you got that, good job. If you didn't get that, double check that 54, because that's the only mistake I spied as I was walking around. Leave some space. I'm going to be writing in the front of this thing 9x minus 4y equals 22. Negative 18x minus 7y equals negative 29. We're going to do this one the same way, but when you write this one down, you might be going like, whoa, what the heck? Nothing is canceling. This can happen. The first two examples in the try it we did, I set it up so something would cancel. That isn't always going to be the case. What do? You're going to leave yourself a little note here. Remember, you are allowed to multiply an equation times a number. But when you do that, you're going to have to multiply everything in that equation times that number. When I look at these two equations, I'm going to try to figure out how can I turn one equation into something where something is going to cancel. I'm looking at the x's, I'm looking at the y's, I'm trying to cancel one of the x's or the y's. If this wasn't a 9x, if this was a positive 18x, it would cancel with this one. So what I'm going to do, and this is one of the things that's awkward about this, is because people have to make these decisions and they like their math to be automatic, but this is one of those times where you're going to have to think about it. I'm going to multiply everything in the top equation times 2. Now this is where I'm going to be using the highlighter, because I want you, when you look at your notes, to be able to make the connection between what I'm doing here. The two things I'm highlighting go together. So multiplying that top equation by 2, the answer I'm going to write here, 18x minus 8y equals, and you don't forget to multiply the last thing too. It's got to be 44. You've got to multiply everything. That's what makes it legal. When you multiply an equation times a number, everything gets multiplied by that number. Now, I'm trying to match it with the second equation, so I'm not going to change the second equation for this problem. I'm going to just bring that down here, and I'm going to just copy it. Negative 18x minus 7y equals negative 29. I'm going to go ahead and do the boxes. You don't have to do the boxes, but this thing is ready to go now. You can go ahead and process everything at this point. I can smash the x's together. I can smash the y's together and the numbers. So now we're going to do what we've been doing. The 18 x's are going to cancel, and that's not, surprising. We engineered this to be this way. Boom. Negative 15y, and then 44, positive 44 and a minus 29 is going to be a 15. So my little equation is now negative 15y equals 15. Now we're going to divide by negative 15. Y equals negative 1. We're halfway there. But that was the hardest part. Okay, I got to use one of the first equations that I was given. And even though I multiplied that top equation times 2, I don't need to use the one that multiplied. I can use the actual given equation, and that's the one I want to use here, because this second one is all negative numbers. That's going to be ugly to work with. So I'm going to use the 9x minus 4y equals 22, but the original, not after it's been multiplied. It doesn't matter. It's just that there's no reason to use the bigger numbers. I know what the y is, so I'm going to substitute that back in. Negative 1 is the y, and that equals 22. This negative 1 right here came from the answer we just got. X. Negative 4 times a negative 1 is a plus 4. That equals 22. All right, subtract 4 from both sides. (9x equals 18). I'm going to use mental math to divide that. X equals 2. Once you have both of those, you can write your answer as an ordered pair, 2, negative 1, and that's the last thing you got to do with that problem. All right, example 4. All I want you to be able to do is see if you can spot what I'm going to change. You don't have to be able to do all the steps. I'm not going to ask you to tell me answers or anything like that. I just want you to spot what would be the easiest thing to do to set this one up so that something would cancel. So you look at the x's and go, okay, can I turn a 4 into a 3, or can I turn a 3 into a 4 easily? Yeah, it's doable, but not easy. And then I see the 16 and the 8. That one looks like where I'm going to go. That's the skill I want you to be able to have right now today before we're done with this. So I am going to multiply this top one times a 2. And then I'm going to stop and pause here before I move on, because I got to think about this for a second. I don't want this to be a positive 16. I want to cancel a positive 16. I want this to be a negative 16. So what do I got to do to my 2 to make that work? That's how I think. I'm demonstrating my thinking processes to you guys. Negative 2 doesn't pop into my head all the time right off the bat. Sometimes I have to think in steps. Okay, so then what I do here, when I multiply by that negative 2, I'm going to write down here. The highlighter is for the notes. It's certainly, you don't need the highlighter to do the problem, but if you're looking at your notes, it's going to be super helpful to say, oh yeah, this went to here. So that goes there. Negative 8x, multiply everything times negative 2. There's the negative 16y. That's because what we wanted. And that equals negative 2 times negative 20 is 40. Everything gets multiplied by that. The second equation, we just copy. We don't do anything to it. 3x plus 16y equals negative 5. Then from here, you should be able to go on your own at this point. You just needed my help to start. But now we're just going to smash things together. You may not even need the boxes anymore. That's totally up to you. I don't know what's happening in your brain right now. But I'm still doing it the same way. I'm going to put the x's together. Negative 8x and a 3x is a minus 5x. The 16y's are going to cancel. The 40 minus 5 equals positive 35. Negative 5x equals 35. I'm dividing both sides by 5 in my head. X equals negative 7. The more mental math you're willing to do with it shortens the amount of space you need. Go ahead and stick the x back into one of the equations and solve for y. Both of these equations are kind of like equal as far as difficulty, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick one. I'll use the first equation. 4x plus 8y equals negative 20. I mean, I know I got to solve for the y, and this has got a smaller number, so I'll use that. The x is negative 7, so 4 times negative 7 plus 8y equals negative 20. Negative 28 plus 8y equals negative 20. We're going to add 28 to both sides. Y equals negative 20, and a 28 is an 8, so y equals 1. And I'm done with that problem. So that you can get faster and take up less space the more you practice these, but they're a bit gnarly in the beginning if you did not learn this last year. We need to do a try it for when you have to multiply by something. I might help out a little bit on this. We'll see what happens. 14x minus 5y equals 24. 7x plus y equals 5. Okay, as it is right now, nothing's going to cancel. So I'm just going to kind of walk you guys through this one. There's a couple things you could do. The 14 is actually 7 times 2. So we could multiply everything on the bottom times a negative 2 and then make the x's cancel. Or I have a negative 5y on top. I could multiply the bottom times a positive 5 and then the y's would cancel out. It doesn't matter. Does anyone have a preference? Do you like multiplying the bottom times 2 for the x's, or do you want to multiply it times 5 and get rid of the y's first? What? Everybody's like, why don't you ask me what kind of ice cream I like, not whether I want to multiply by a number? Well, the bottom one's going to be easier to change than the top. I think I'm going to go for the 5. And here's why. This is already a negative and that's a positive, and if this were a positive 5y, those guys would just cancel. So what I think I'm going to do is just multiply everything on the bottom times 5. This is the kind of thought process I'm demonstrating that you'll go through when you're doing these problems. So this, I am going to put the answer here. Down here, 5 times 7x is 35x. 5 times plus y is plus 5y. And that equals 5 times 5, which is 25. So I took the bottom equation times 5 and I wrote the answer here. So now I'm going to take the other guy and just copy it and put it right here. There is no rule that says top equations have to stay on the top or anything like that. I'm just going to line them up. 14x is going to go here. Minus 5y is going to go there. Equals, and this 24 is going to go under the 25. I kind of flip-flop things here a little bit, but it's all, the math is still the same. It's all good. All right, now we're going to put them together. Yesterday I was doing it with boxes. It's up to you whether you do it with boxes or you just kind of separate things out. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put the x's together. I'm going to put the y's together. And I'm going to put the numbers together. You can't put these things together with each other. You have to keep them all separate. These are both positive. The x's are both positive. I just have to add them. That's going to be 49x. The y's are going to cancel because I did the multiplication by 5 to make sure the y's would cancel. And then 25 and 24 is 49, so I end up with 49x equals 49. So then we're going to divide both sides by 49. And we get x equals 1. I don't care which one you use. I'd probably use the second one because everything is positive, because that's kind of my thing. I like everything to stay positive for signs. It cuts down on mistakes. So I know my x is 1. So this is going to be 7 times 1 plus y equals 5. 7. Y equals -2. All right, so if you write that as an ordered pair, which I would like for you guys to be in the habit of doing that. One reason is because it's super easy for me to grade. In other words, I see your answer right here. I can count that problem right without looking at all the work, and then boom, I'm out. And then also for when we go to multiple choice, that's what it's going to look like. -8x minus 5y equals 14. 4x minus 3y equals 26. You decide what you need to multiply by and then smash those puppies together so things cancel. I'm thinking that this is the plan. Multiply that times 2, because that'll turn into a +8, and the +8 will kill the -8, and that'll be the fastest, easiest way to do this. So I'm going to highlight that. You do not need to highlight it all. This is just for the teacher to make sure we have, so that when you're reading your notes or looking at my notes or watching my video, everyone's going to know where this came from. 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times -3y is -6y. 2 times 26 is 52. Then you take the other equation and you just copy it underneath. -8x minus 5y equals 14. Okay? Because we're just going to smash. Hulk smash. Smash. We're going to smash the x's together. That isn't even going to be a blooper. I meant to say that. Smash the y's together, and then we put these together. The 8x's are going to cancel. That's not an accident. We set it up like that. So -11y. Put these together. What are we getting here? 44? Something you can divide by 11, I'm assuming. No, that's not right.
I got 66.
What happened? Stupid mistake. Thank you, class. I don't know why I was thinking 44. 66. It still works out nice. -11y equals 66. Divide by -11. We get y equals -6. Okay, I'm good now, right? Everybody, let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. I zoomed in too far. Okay, did I recover from my error? All right, you guys all got that too? Okay, we got to find the x. Which one of these equations looks like it would be the easiest one to work with on this next step where we find the x?
4.
This one, the bottom one. Before we multiply it, just take that one. And again, it doesn't matter which one you choose. I just personally like the ones that have the fewer negative signs. I know that the y is -6. So I'm going to have 4x minus 3 times something I'll stick in here in a second equals 26. And I'm putting the -6 right here. And in case anybody's wondering where that came from later on, it came from there. Because remember, you're going to be using these notes in 6 months on the final exam. You've got to leave yourself enough breadcrumbs on here so that if you get stuck on one of these, which is a high probability, these aren't easy, you can go back and see what you did. -3 times -6 is +18. That equals 26. We subtract 18 from both sides. 4x equals, I don't know, 6? No, 8. 8. Divide by 4, x equals 2. And if you write your answer as an ordered pair, to make it easier for the teacher to give you all the points, boom, 2, -6. All right, there's one more example. All right, here we go. It's going to level up one more time. So these problems actually have 3 levels to them. Like if you're playing a game, level 1, level 2, we just finished level 2. We're now leveling up again. Example 6, these get one step harder. There is no way I expect anyone to be able to do a lot of these by themselves yet. But you have to start somewhere, and that's starting by watching me do them. Okay, so our first equation is 5x plus 7y equals -7. And the next equation is 8x minus 8y equals 8. These are my least favorite. And I don't think you're going to like them either, but, you know, it's going to happen. We got to be able to deal with them. Here's the problem with these. There's no easy way to just multiply.
Can't you multiply by each other?
Yeah, you're going to have to multiply by each other. Yeah. So you already have seen these before. But there's no way I can just multiply 5 times something and turn it into an 8. I can't multiply 7 times something and turn it into an 8. I mean, not easily. So what you do is you have to be a little bit clever. And like she just said, we are going to multiply by the other number. And I'm going to show you what that means. So in this case, we have to, let's look at the y's. Do you guys see how this guy's positive and that guy's negative, but the numbers don't match? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top one times 8. I got that from right here.
What do you mean?
Well, let me do it for you so you can see what's going to happen. I picked the 8 because I wanted to make sure I got the 8 from right here. There's 8s all the way across here. That was probably stupid of me to use that example. But I'm going to multiply the bottom one times 7. And that probably makes no sense yet, but it will in a second. So I'm going to use this one and put the answer right here. But I'm going to write it in blue because I want them to look different. So what I have now is I do 8 times 5, which is 40x, plus 8 times 7, which is, help me out, 56? Yeah. 56y equals 8 times negative 7, which is minus 56. Still probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But when I do the second equation right here, this one was going to go there, and this one went there. 7 times 8 is 56x. 7 times negative 8 is negative 56y. That right, ding, 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 ding. Look what, that's what I did. 7 times this 8 equals 56. All right, so I was super duper tricky on this one. This is tricky, 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 tricky. First thing you do is you zone in on the variable that you want to cancel, and then you multiply by the other number. When I multiply by 7 times 8, I get the 56, positive. When I multiply the negative 8 times 7, I get the negative 56. And then when I go ahead and try to now when I box these up, those y's are going to cancel because of the numbers I picked. Okay, adding these together, I get 96x. These guys cancel, and I get a 0. Now it's not hard. I mean, now we know that x equals 0. I'm not done yet. We have to go in and find the y, but this is all the hard part was right here, is figuring out what you're going to multiply by. Let's find the y. Nothing new about this and nothing tricky about finding the y. It's just that we're going to just plug it back in. You pick whichever one you want. Should we use the first one? Sure. And then we put the 0 in here. 5 times 0 plus 7y equals negative 7. Y equals negative 1.
How'd you get 96 on the...
I added 40 and 56. Okay. Example 7. Negative 10x plus 2y equals negative 4. Okay, let me write down my thought processes so you think about it. Step 1, here's what I'm telling myself first. Which variable do you want to cancel? All right, what I look for here is it just would be what would be the easiest thing where I don't have to deal with signs. Now, if I look at the x, they're both negative. So if I multiply 1 times a number, it's just, this will be, unless I multiply by a negative number, I'm not changing the signs. But if I look at the y's right now, do you guys see how this one's negative and this one's positive? So if I try to fix it up so that these two numbers match, then these two will cancel because they're already opposite in sign. I think that way. And it doesn't matter how you do it, but that's one of the ways I approach it. I look for pluses and minuses. I look for when the signs don't match. And then I focus in on that. And then from there, I multiply by the other one. So if I'm focusing on the y's, just those, I'm going to multiply the top one times 2 and the bottom one times 5. And I'm getting those numbers from right here.
What about the negative?
It'll work out okay because this will turn out to be a negative 10 and this will turn out to be a positive 10. It's not the only way to do it. You could have gone for this too. But if I just do this, where the 2 comes from here and the 5 comes from there, I just go here and here. Multiply times each other. And it's hard. I don't have the right, I guess I'm just not explaining it well enough, but I'm trying to show it. So I'm going to take this first one and put it there. So 2 times negative 8, or 2 times negative 4 is negative 8x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10y, which was what I was trying to do. 2 times 10 is 20. Now the bottom one's answer is going to go right there. 5 times negative 10 is negative 50x. Here's the money shot right here. 5 times positive 2y is a plus 10y. This is what you are trying to force happen. You're trying to make that happen. Equals 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. I'm stopping here because that was the heavy lift right there. Okay, so now we're going to smash these together. And we're going to get negative 58x. The y's are going to cancel because we engineered it to do that. Equals, and 0, I did not engineer that to happen again, but it did. Minus 58x equals 0. So what does x equal? 0. And then to find the y is the same old stuff. There's nothing new here. I suppose I should put in step 2. I don't even know how to write this. How do you explain that? Like Rosa said, just multiply by the other one. Does that make sense? Multiply by each other? Okay. Okay. That could be misunderstood, but we're going to go with that for right now. They're both really sucky equations. Should we just use the top one because the numbers are smaller? Yeah. Okay. Negative 4x minus 5y equals 10. Again, always go back to the original equations that you're given. Because if you made a mistake and you used something that you multiplied and you made a mistake in here somewhere, then your answer will be wrong anyway. Then you put in the 0 for x. Negative 4 times 0 minus 5y equals 10. This is just going to be a 0 minus 5y equals 10. Negative 5y equals 10. I'm out of paper, so I was really tempted to just kind of y equals negative 2. We're there. And our final answer is 0, negative 2. This level 3 is a little bit difficult. Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Check this playlist out. If you're in my class, make sure your notes are good. If there's anything you need, come see me.